It is done, Commanders fans. New head coach Dan Quinn has filled out his entire coaching staff already for the 2024 NFL season. And if I do say so myself, I am pretty impressed. Welcome into the Commanders Report. I am your host, Jack Sperry, and today we're going to be going over the entire Washington Commanders coaching staff, some names that kind of stick out, and then also today, Kliff Kingsbury, the new OC, and Whitt Jr., the new DC, had their press conferences today to kind of introduce themselves to the Commanders fandom. I'm going to let you know my thoughts on some of the things that they said and why I am super optimistic for this football team moving forward. But before we get into all of today's goodness, make sure you guys get down there in the comments section and let me know, how confident are you in new head coach Dan Quinn? Put it on a scale of 1 to 10. I know when the hiring first came here and we learned that Dan Quinn was going to be the next head coach, it wasn't all that great. Commanders fans were like, this is just like Ron Rivera. They didn't like it too much. How are you feeling now that we have the OC and DC in place and we have the entire coaching staff figured out? Let me know down there in the comments section to kick off today's show. So our new coordinators here in Washington, D.C., is Kliff Kingsbury, the offensive coordinator. He's the former head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, and he was the quarterbacks coach at USC this past season. And then Whitt Jr. is the new defensive coordinator. He was formerly the secondary coach there with the Dallas Cowboys with Dan Quinn in Dallas. So here's our brand new offensive staff to work alongside Kliff Kingsbury here. Quarterbacks coach, Tavita Pritchard, I hope I'm saying that right. Assistant quarterbacks coach, David Blough, former NFL quarterback. Kliff Kingsbury called him, or said that he was one of the more intelligent quarterbacks he has ever worked with in his entire time as a coach, so that's definitely high praise. The pass game coordinator is going to be former offensive coordinator for the Eagles last year, Brian Johnson. The running backs coach and run game coordinator is Anthony Lynn, former Chargers head coach and somebody that's really well respected in this league. And then you see the rest of the names on there. Offensive line coach Bobby Johnson, somebody probably my least favorite hire. He didn't do a really good job there with the New York Giants over the last several years, but overall, I do think this is a very good staff. Then you go over to the staff that's going to be helping out Whitt Jr., who is going to be calling plays this year, by the way, not Dan Quinn. The defensive pass game coordinator, Jason Simmons, coming to us from the Las Vegas Raiders, somebody that's very highly regarded in this league. William Gay, the assistant defensive backs coach, former player for the Pittsburgh Steelers in this league. Sharif Floyd, former Minnesota Viking defensive tackle, former first-round pick, I might add, is going to be the assistant defensive lines coach. And then Ryan Kerrigan is on the staff here in Washington. That is awesome. He's the pass rush coach. He's the pass rush specialist, so to speak. He's got a job here. And then Ken Norton, another big name and another respected name in this league, heading to Washington to be the linebackers coach under Whitt Jr. So what say you guys? Now that you've seen the entire coaching staff for the Washington Commanders, grade it for me down there in the comment section. Give it an A, a B, a C, a D, or an F for today's pinned comment. YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. When that happens, take advantage of that time by giving me a grade for this year's coaching staff. For me, I'm going to give it an A. All right, so now let's go over what you can expect to see from Kliff Kingsbury's offense here in Washington. So the philosophy base is definitely an air raid style of offense. Now, Kliff did say in his press conference today he doesn't like it when people say his offense is air raid because he tries to be a little bit more balanced. Fair enough, Kliff, but you use a lot of air raid concepts in your offense, okay? So it's going to be heavy shotgun. The run game is going to be mostly inside zone and counter, just like it is with Lincoln Riley at USC. All right, it's going to be spread concepts all over the place to make it easier for the quarterbacks to determine what coverage the defense is in pre-snap. All right, so all these different things, and then also screen plays on early downs was really his bread and butter there with Kyler Murray in Arizona. I would expect to see a lot of that in Washington again as well. Then we get to the defensive side of the ball, and listen, it's Dan Quinn's philosophy, but Whitt Jr. is going to be the one calling plays on Sundays. So the philosophy is going to be a hybrid Seattle 3. So what that means is the Seattle 3 is the cover 3 match-based system that they ran with the Legion of Boom all those years back when Dan Quinn was the defensive coordinator for Pete Carroll with the Seattle Seahawks when they were going to Super Bowls and they were dominating the league. But Dan Quinn throughout the years has adjusted his system here where it's a lot more man. It's a lot more versatile, and he's really done a great job cultivating this system and making it his own. It's a very unique defense. It's highly aggressive, and they really like corners that are going to be hunting turnovers, interceptions, fumbles. Joe Whitt Jr. said today, the ball is life. You have to have players that have that mentality, and that's why guys like Trayvon Diggs, Deron Bland, and the like in Dallas had so many turnovers there with Dan Quinn as their defensive coordinator. It's going to be lots of man coverage. It's going to be some cover 3 match and some Tampa 2 on later downs, obvious passing situations. But it really does put a big focus on tackling and one-on-one matchups, making sure that you're not leaving holes on defense by missing tackles and letting your teammates down. So coming up here, some quotes from Kliff Kingsbury and Joe Whitt Jr., the new coordinators here in Washington. But before I get into that, it's the Dan Quinn era, baby. You know what you need? You need a ball cap, and you need to be wearing it backwards on game days, all right? You can get yours today by checking out our friends at Fanatics. They have an awesome off-season deal for you guys going right now. Go to chatsports.com/DQ to get yourself this awesome Commanders ball cap so that you can wear that backwards all throughout the Dan Quinn era here in Washington. You can go to chatsports.com/DQ right now before they all run out. That's chatsports.com/DQ. So now we got some quotes from the new coordinators here with the Commanders. We'll start with Kliff Kingsbury here, who talks about new head coach Dan Quinn. He says, he's a guy I've always looked at as if there was an opportunity. It would be great to work with him. There's no better leader than Dan Quinn. Very high praise from Kliff Kingsbury there. And then continuing here, he says, you can't have enough Texas Tech Red Raider rocket scientists on the staff. To have a football mind like that, a leader like that is huge for us. And he's actually talking about Anthony Lynn, the running backs coach, in that quote as well. So I'm excited to see what this offense looks like, man. I really do. It's going to be whoever you're bringing in as your rookie, whether it's Jaden Daniels or Drake May or even Caleb Williams, who knows. They're going to be experienced in this kind of offense. Heavy shotgun, spread formations. They're going to feel really comfortable in this system here under new OC Kliff Kingsbury. So that's definitely something I'm excited to see. I respect Kliff as an offensive mind. The only question that I have is that he hasn't done a really good job adjusting mid-season and mid-game throughout his career as both a college head coach and a NFL head coach. But now that he's an offensive coordinator and that's just his job now and he doesn't have to worry about the rest of the team, I'm hoping he can get better at making these adjustments as the offensive play caller of this football club. Then we get to Joe Whitt Jr., who was the star of the show today, man. This guy has just been a superstar so far, and this is some of the stuff he had to say. So on his defensive mentality, this is what he had to say. The way that we live is not for everybody. We're going to run and put our bodies on people in a violent manner. That's the shit I like to see right there from your defensive coordinator. Then he continues to say, the standard is the standard every time they walk on the field. Sounds like another great coach in the National Football League, guys. If you don't do it the right way, you're going to get called out for it. If you don't want to do it that way, that's fine. You're going to be somewhere else. I love that mentality from Joe Whitt Jr. here. Then talking about his mentality here, he says, I'm not really a rah-rah guy on game day. If you're doing a lot of yelling on game day, you haven't done your job during the week. Now at practice, that's different. That's exactly the type of stuff that I love. And then when talking about some of the defensive guys that this team drafted last year that he's going to have a chance to work with, like Emmanuel Forbes and Jartavius Martin, he said, I really liked Forbes when he came out. I like Quan. When we have quality young players here, we're just ready to get to work with them. So listen, man, when I watched this guy's press conference today, I was like, this guy sounds just like Mike Tomlin. We all know Mike Tomlin is one of the best head coaches, one of the best leaders in the National Football League, and he has been for the better part of 2 decades. So this is definitely somebody that I'm excited to see as the defensive play caller here in Washington, and he's definitely somebody that I could see as a future head coach in the National Football League, especially if this defense goes from one of the worst to one of the best in the next few years. All right, that's going to be it for today's show, guys. Thank you so much for all of your support. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button for more premium Commanders coverage all throughout the 2024 offseason.